food and all that kind of stuff. So all these things, I basically look at them now as lessons rather than like, oh, Paul, I had to go for all this shit. I'm like, cool. I learned how to deal with conflict at a very early age. I learned that others' opinions of me didn't matter, and I learned a really good work ethic. So from those things there, I look at it all as, there's all things that shaped me, and yeah, sure, that if we really went into it, you would say it's traumatic and there was abuse and all kinds of stuff, but sitting with that doesn't actually help me move forward, if that makes sense. It's like, it's happened, it's been done. Yes, there's probably some remnants of my behavior and things I do and how I cope, but I'd rather look at those things as a way to move forward and what positives can I take from those negative experiences.
Welcome to the Embodying Excellence podcast. I'm here with our co-host Brendan. I'm Carlo, and we're here with Paul Meldrum. How are you, Paul?
I'm good, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for coming on. Let's get started. So, growing up, what was Paul Meldrum's childhood like?
Cool, how deep do we go?
As deep as you like.
Okay, right, cool. So growing up, grew up in Sydney, or Gladesville, Sydney. So in that area, when I grew up, childhood was relatively uneventful up until the age of 5. I really got into sport. So sport, rugby league, and I was really good at age 5. Like I was already picked to play Tigers development at that age, and I realised I hated it after 2 years. And that basically led to conflict with my father, who he had put his identity into that.
Right.
So he was like, cool, I'm going to live vicariously through my child. And I did not, it's not like I hated rugby league at all. My friends didn't do it. Yeah. So what 5-year-old kid or 7-year-old kid at that time is going to actually do that thing? So that led to like a lifelong series of conflict. Because what he wanted, what I wanted, two very, very different directions. And that kind of pattern has replayed itself for every single aspect of my life. Everyone's wanted one direction, I've always tended to veer in the other direction. So from there, childhood, growing up, at one point, obviously there was a conflict ridden the whole way through. At one point, my father lost his job probably when I was like 14, 15. So when I was doing high school, I also worked full time to support the family and to pay for food and all that kind of stuff. So all these things, I basically look at them now as lessons rather than like, oh, Paul, I had to go for all this shit. I'm like, cool. I learned how to deal with conflict at a very early age. I learned that others' opinions of me didn't matter, and I learned a really good work ethic. So from those things there, I look at it all as, there's all things that shaped me, and yeah, sure, that if we really went into it, you would say it's traumatic and there was abuse and all kinds of stuff, but sitting with that doesn't actually help me move forward, if that makes sense. It's like, it's happened, it's been done. Yes, there's probably some remnants of my behavior and things I do and how I cope, but I'd rather look at those things as a way to move forward and what positives can I take from those negative experiences.
Yeah, that's a brutal childhood, especially going at 5 and you're like, okay, I can do this thing, and then 2 years later it's like, I don't want to do this thing, and then someone else is like, well, I don't agree with you, and so...
There's a lot of conflict, a lot of like a very abusive behaviour from that, but like, at the end it taught me to kind of hold my ground. It's like, no, I'm not going to do this thing. And like, as you grow up and get older and you go into business and you go into a whole bunch of different things, holding your ground and be able to say no to things has been one of my most valuable skill sets.
That's awesome. And actually I want to dive into that a little bit as well, because that's part of embodying excellence as well, like being able to say no. Like oftentimes we find ourselves agreeing to things that we probably don't want to do, or agreeing with people that we actually don't agree with. So when you say holding your ground, saying no, asserting boundaries, for someone that is maybe struggling with that, how would you approach it?
Cool. So if someone's struggling to set a boundary and hold a boundary, the first thing I always want to do is look at the circumstances, because the circumstances will dictate the strategy. It's always going to be the thing. So that's why, like, when I'm coaching my business coaching students in the fitness industry, they always want a protocol. I'm like, the protocol will work like 70% of the time, and it won't work to its full potential. We need to know circumstances before we can give strategies. So when someone has a problem with that, I always like to find out, okay, cool, let's evaluate your circumstances. The first question is it reasonable to say no? Okay, if someone's saying, have a shower, it's been 5 days, it's probably not reasonable to say no and hold your boundary in that situation. If someone's saying do something you absolutely hate, and you're going to regret it. It's going to take a long time out of your life to do that thing, and you're going to harbor a high degree of resentment and anger, then it's totally reasonable to say no.
Yeah.
So is it reasonable or not? And then look at the actual person asking you. Why are they asking? Put yourself in someone's shoes, because if you walk around, this is probably where I made a lot of mistakes when I was younger, I was just, can I swear? Yeah, cool. I was a fuck no. If someone said something like, fuck no, I'm not doing that. It was always very, very blunt. And what happens when a movable force meets an unsolvable object?
Nothing.
You get conflict as well. It explodes. So a lot of the time, learning to say no is learning to say no in a way that the other person feels like they facilitated that. So they feel heard, they feel listened, because a lot of time people are trying to get you to do stuff out of care and concern. And often because we don't want to do that thing, we forget that they're coming from it from a misinformed yet good place.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And then what I like to do is, all right, cool, find out their place, find out their context, and go, look, this isn't what I want to do because A. And if you can come to, if you address it with an fuck no, like I used to, it creates an emotional response to both parties. If you address it from, all right, cool, this is where you're coming from, this is where I'm coming from, this is why this isn't the right path for me, then that person may be disappointed, but at least they have understanding. If people are disappointed in you for saying no, but they understand why, they will accept that, and they will also respect you more. If you fight for it, and you just go for the fight just because, fuck you, I do what I want, when I want, how I want, it destroys respect, and it destroys that mutual respect. And if you can create like nearly a collaborative approach to saying no to things, it makes life a lot easier.
Yeah, at the moment that's been my approach and how I've been able to unlearn all of that. Like, because there was a time where I was just like, yeah, everything's all good, and never really said anything. And then there was this divorce from reality where I was just like, no, like I can't be doing that anymore. So anytime anyone was asked me that would be something unreasonable, no, absolutely not. And then learning to articulate like how I actually felt, and learning what things meant to me, and finding out context from other people, I was like, hang on a minute, yeah, okay, I disagree because X, Y, Z, and then actually telling that person, hey, I disagree because X, Y, Z, like, they might be disappointed, but at the same time, like, they know that, hey, I'm coming from here, and you're coming from here, there's no disrespect between one another, it's just, we differ in opinions, and that happens as well, and so it's so normal. I tell staff at work all the time, like, you're allowed to be angry. Like, if things don't work out, like, anger is an emotion that we all express. So, like, it's absolutely okay to be angry. And so, whether you decide to hold on to that anger and then it then uses you rather than you use it, then you're going, oh, okay, let's try and figure this out so that then your anger doesn't completely kill you.
Yeah, we always try and take the emotional component out as best we can, yet understanding it's an emotional thing that's driving most people's reactions 99% of the time.
That's right, and sometimes it benefits just having a few minutes to have a think about it before you
have a wuss up.
And
chill out.
And then you sort of sometimes you just your emotions get the better of you, but you calm down for a few seconds or minutes. And then
hours sometimes.
Hours sometimes, days sometimes, depending on how bad the thing is, but
And then you're able to come in, both people can come from a better place.
And so, how did you start as a coach?
Cool. So when I went to high school, I was very academically gifted. I was like that archetype of the person, like, academically gifted, doesn't try hard enough, doesn't give a shit. But at that point too, I also taught my grade and taught my school in 4 out of 6 subjects. So I was like, do I need to try harder? By the law of averages, how school works, I got dropped down to a lower mark than what I probably should have. And at that point, I was like, you know what? I don't feel confident in knowing what I want to do for the rest of my life. So why would I go to university to dedicate the next 4 years of schooling to something I have no idea whether I want to do or not? Like, I looked at the subjects, I'm like, cool. I understand these are all the careers you can take from these subjects. I understand if you do really well in the first year or semester, you can transfer to whatever the hell you want. So it's not like the options are limited, it's just like they're delayed. So I had that perspective, and I was like, no, I don't care about doing anything and actually identifying a goal. I just want to work and travel. I just want to actually get out of school, see what the world's like a little bit. So I did a fair bit of that, and I'd always loved sports. Like, as I said, like, I was in line for stuff age 5, I represented school and state and pretty much every sport except maybe tennis, I think, that I played, including athletics. And I was like, I like training, so I may as well do a Cert 3 and 4 in fitness to learn how to do the thing a little bit better. And I was massively disappointed in the course. I was like, all right, this is shit. But I ended up then getting a job at Fitness First, doing sales. I was like, I should see what gym's like, see what it's like to do sales. I've never done sales before. Yeah. And it wasn't great. Yeah. But every person who says Fitness First sales and does commercial gym sales says it isn't great because it's very high pressure, like ring 50 times a day. So I did that. And at that time, I was probably, I think it was 95% through to Cert 4 because I just had to do the practical experience, which was like 100 hours at that time back then. So I did it in 2003. Or maybe earlier than that. What year is it? 2003, because it's been 21 years. And I wasn't willing to do 100 hours of practical experience while working 60 to 70 hours a week doing sales. Yeah. Just was unreasonable. So what I did, I hired a trainer in the gym because I was like, I should probably know what it's like if I'm intending at some point to charge people, anywhere from $60 to $100 an hour to train them. I should actually get trained. I feel like it was the most authentic thing that you could do. Yeah. And I had a shoulder injury that was bugging me because of shit training when I was 16. Basically, bench 6 times a week. And
I know that regime.
Yeah, it's a good regime, isn't it? It's really good for 2 weeks. It's really good. Your pecs are like, oh yeah, sick, and then it's like, oh shit, wait a minute. That's not going to happen. And anyway, so I hired this guy, Gary Crozier. He was a 2001 international trainer. He just was in the gym, he was just migrating through different Fitness First, basically. And when he assessed, he's like, how much does it cost? I'm like, what? It was like $140 an hour back then, and I was like, all right, I'll pay it. I guess you're the best, so why not? And he did an assessment on me, and I had no fucking idea what he was doing. Like, I was like, what the hell is this? And how do you know so much? This is not taught in Cert 3, Cert 4, like at all. And then when they got the program off me, he had my shoulder fixed up in 4 to 6 weeks. I was stronger in every single lift. I was also incredibly weak in all the stuff that he thought I would be weak in, which was good. And I just went, I need to know.
You then saw what was $140 an hour?
I said, I need to know what this guy does because that's cool. How did he do that? And so basically, I said, go away to the sales job, and I said, I want to be PT. I literally did it in one conversation, like top stairs one, go downstairs and say, I want to be PT. And from there, I basically went right into it. I was very, very lucky at the time because I had Gary in my corner. So that was great, and I ended up paying him $260 a week for mentoring back then in 2003. So I actually ended up going back to work retail so I could pay him because I had to build a business at the same time. And I was lucky because the gym had just opened up and there was only 3 trainers in it. So I was there kind of like at the boom of PT when PT kind of took off. Yeah. And of course I was working with Gary. The PT manager at the time said, oh, you must know rehab stuff. I'm like, yeah, I'm great at it. Awesome. Really good. And yeah, sure, send it, tell her what. And basically every single form I get the day before, and I'd go home and get on the 28.8K modem and Google whatever the hell the injury was, and then learn what to do it, and then figure out, all right, what assessments has Gary taught me, or I'd text him and call him and like, what do I need to do? And basically, within 3 months, I built up a reputation as a rehab guy. And it just kept on getting more and more. So I was like doing at that point, like 3 to 4 months into my career, I was doing about 50 to 70 sessions a week. Wow. Yeah. Which is moderately intense.
Obscene. For the first 3-4 months, that's insane.
Yeah. And then because I was insanely busy, within maybe 8 months, I started mentoring trainers. Like I got my first apprentice, who's now currently, he owns a very successful gym chain in 2 states. And has coached at a professional level in rugby league, netball, and in AFL. So I got him as my first apprentice, and by the end of the first year, I had 4 apprentices underneath me, which was really cool. And obviously, the gym had got busier and busier over that time. So by about 14 months into it, I was mentoring 14 trainers, but all on technical shit. I knew nothing about business. I was just like, my business strategy was like, I'm good at what I do. I'll get you a result. Can you pay me some cash? Thanks. That was my whole business strategy. I was just like, if I'm just really good, people will pay.
All front end, no back end.
All front end, no back end, and they're like, I'll deliver a good service. So that was like the key differentiating factor. I also started studying sports kinesiology at that time, which people think it's sports biomechanics, but it was kinesiology and muscle testing, the more alternative medicine type thing. And I was like, and I really had no fucking idea if I was signing up for. I just kind of did it because I saw biomechanics and I was like, yeah, that must be it. Yeah. And it was an advanced diploma. And then I also testing muscles for finding out emotional stuff. What are we doing here? But from there, they recognised very quickly that at that time I had just won the National Personal Trainer of the Year Award. Like within my first 2 years of being PT. It was year 2 I won it, and they realised that I was also very marketable from that point, for their perspective. Right? They're trying to get into PTs and personal training and fitness, and then all of a sudden they got the guy during the course who won the National Trainer of the Year. That's like great marketing.
Yeah.
So then they also realised that I knew more about the exercise and sports science stuff because I was a bit voracious, like reading and learning and watching videos and stuff. Getting up at 4 a.m. to learn before I would go to work. I became very obsessed. I'm sure you couldn't tell from listening to the lectures we do. And they then got me lecturing. So I was then lecturing in there for their course and like lecturing back and forth between Sydney and Melbourne, flying back and teaching. And then after 3 years, I burnt out like crazy.
I was about to say, where's the sleep in all of that? That was like,
where's the sleep muscle? How do you train?
There was training, your training, and then there was training clients that you were training. Then there was the lecturing that you were doing, and then the studying that you were doing outside of the training and the lecturing and things like that, plus the courses that you were also undertaking, plus working retail while you're building the business.
I quit that by 4 months because I didn't have to.
Which is, no, but that's the same time, like all in that time, it's a lot. And so after 3 years,
3 years burnout happens.
Yeah, I mean 3 years, that's pretty solid. Like most now would probably give up after 9 months.
Yeah, like, it was 3 years to burn out. It was a good burnout. It was a good one.
Oh yeah, I'm still recovering from mine. Like
I threw it all in, and basically I said, "Fuck you, I'm leaving the gym. No, I'm not teaching anymore." I did this, and basically I called moving somewhere else and moved to a totally different place, and just said, "All right, cool, I'll figure it out from this point." And so I ended up just treating people, so musculoskeletal, like with the table, doing soft tissue, the kinesiology stuff. Yeah. People call me and it's like, "All right, where are you?" And it's like, "All right, Colin, Coogee." I was like, "All right, it's 100 and whatever for treatment and 85 for travel time." Okay. And I would just literally spend my days doing that, driving around for a little bit, treat 3 or 4 people a day. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, that was.
It was a good thing at that time because it was like I was just by myself. That's all I did.
Yeah, as a mobile, you can do. Yeah, you're flexible. And
I was super flexible. It wasn't a good business in terms of building a business.
Yeah.
It was
all front end, no back end.
It was a good lifestyle.
Yeah.
So then basically from there I was like, all right, I'm getting too busy. This is bullshit. I'm gonna open up a clinic. So I opened up a clinic in Hunters Hill. Hunters Hill area, Sydney.
Yeah.
So demographically incredible. Absolutely treated not one person from Hunters Hill. So a bit of a waste of time for that. After a period of time, then maybe about 6 months to a year, I was like, all right, this clinic, like it was just a treatment room, being about the same size as this room. And I was like, all right, cool, we need to train people too, because again, all front end, no back end. Like, what are they doing afterwards? So I actually started what I would consider to be the closest thing to online coaching all the way back in 2008, 2007. Because people would come in, they do their musculoskeletal treatment. I'd write up a program on the computer, print it, give it to them and say, see you in 4 weeks for the next program.
Yeah.
So basically my experience of doing online/hybrid training began all the way back in 2007, 2008.
So you just put another front end on top of the front end that you're already doing, pretty much.
Yeah, and then I knew that they'd come back in 4 weeks and pay me more money.
Yeah.
So it was the first kind of step to building a sustainable business. And by that point, because I'd gone back to teaching in Sydney and Melbourne, which was less work, because I wasn't doing so many hours of PT, I could control my schedule. I started getting like just an absolute shit ton of referrals because I was a lecturer, I had a reputation I've been building up. So I worked with, over that time frame, like I think 12 different Olympians, took a whole bunch of people to Beijing. I worked on both the musicals Miss Saigon and Wicked.
Yeah.
Both when they travelled from Sydney to Melbourne back and forth, so I kind of flew back and forth with those doing musculoskeletal and emotional treatment for the performers. They went through it's a hard gig.
Like, watching a musical, it's amazing, but at the same time, like the amount of not only pressure, but like the movement and getting the lines right and the energy that it takes, like not just once, but to do it on a whole schedule. Like,
yeah, some days twice a day, like it's intense. So I was working with that. Got a little we're good. So I treated doing all the musical stuff, Olympians, a bunch of other professional athletes in different sports. And by that time, I had someone approach me and say, hey, do you want to open up in St. Leonard's? Do you want to open up like a combined studio / gym? I was like, yeah, I think I do. And then, so that was kind of like, and then after a period of doing that for like 6 months, what I realized is that I was getting a ton of clients for both for the PT, coaching, and the kinesiology, soft tissue treatment, and the teaching. He wasn't. He was getting his clients from literally a gym down the road where he was still subcontracting and then moving them up there. So it was very, very laborious for him. And he went away, he had to go away for a holiday. I was like, I'll train your clients and I'll pay you a percentage of that, so you still get some income when you go away. And then I looked at the schedule, I'm like, how's this going to work? I'm like, why don't I train them together? And he's like, how are you going to do that? I'm like, work it out, it'll be fine. And when he came back from the holiday, I'm like, that worked really fucking well.
It's like semi-private training, right?
It's 2009.
Yeah.
And then I said to him, like, look, this is going to work out. I get clients. I get heaps of clients coming in, get heaps of referrals. You're a really good coach, you just don't have the business. Well, not the business, you don't have the reputation yet. Because I still didn't know shit about business. I kind of had a mentor who was in the kinesiology thing who convinced me that business was bad.
Okay.
And, you know, trying to build a sustainable business was bad. Not a sustainable business, like you know, capitalism's evil. Like, of course there's parts of capitalism that are evil, but like, you know, building like a solid business is a bad idea, and like you should just help people for, you know, because of love. And I was like,
well, love doesn't pay the bills though.
no, love's lovely.
Love is lovely.
I love a good couple, but you know, if you could cuddle me with $100 bills, I'd be happier, right? Maybe not. That's a bit gross there, but you know, they've been in circulation. But with this that day with semi-private, I was like, look, let's just try it. And there was only one other gym in the world that I was aware that was doing it, which was Results Fitness in California, around Bowen, Cosgrove. They had a different structure for it. I said, all right, let's try it like this. So in 2008, 2009, maybe 2009, we opened Australia's first semi-private gym, and it went really, really well. So after a year, we doubled the gym.
Awesome.
And then after another year, we moved to a 700 square meter facility because we had the money to cover that.
Yeah.
And that's where everything went like crazy, because we had 400 clients in a 700 minute. We were like, shit, we need coaches, we need admin staff, we need this, we need Facebook marketing, and which we got in at the bottom level. The Facebook marketing back then was, here's a hot picture of a girl in a bikini, buy my program, and people would just click it and do it because it was new. It's like sick. So like you pay like, you know, 50 cents to get someone to sign up to your gym. It was just like, it was gold.
Yeah.
It was a gold rush. And that's when like we got up to $20,000 weeks, which is $1 million a year gym with all these stuff, and I still didn't know what I was doing. Training wise, awesome. Really, really good. Nutrition, psychology, coaching, all that stuff. How to run a business at NFI. So I had to kind of learn how to do that on the fly, which I highly do not recommend. It's too hard.
Well, the thing is too, like sometimes, and I've been notorious for this, where like I just learn, and then don't apply. And so like it works to the degree that you apply what you learn. And so sometimes when you're learning on the fly, it's way more laborious, way more difficult, because you're going, well, what do I have this that I'm doing to compare to that works, so that you can test what you're doing, so that you can stop doing what's not working and start doing what is working. But you learn everything on the fly, and then for me, I learned really everything but book, and then nothing on the fly. And so when I got into PT, it was like, well, hang on a minute, this is nothing like the book. And because I had really nothing else to go by either, I just sort of had to figure it out myself. It's just interesting how the two of us are just complete polar opposites of how we went about starting coaching.
Yeah, I kind of just went, I'm going to do it. Like it was probably a bit flying all the way back to, no, you can't do that when you're younger. It's literally, well, I can. I'm going to, and I'll show you somehow. I don't care what sacrifices or like what costs it'll do. For me personally, I will pay that price because fuck you. That was literally a part of my, it's always been part of my DNA.
Yeah, your most predominant emotion is spite.
Yeah, spite, thank you, you know that very well. Spite but channeled towards something positive. So yeah, with that, like, that whole situation, like learning on the fly, like you are literally just throwing shit at the wall and trying to find the one thing that sticks. But it's really hard to find the one thing that sticks when you're doing it. Okay. And we were able to do some really cool stuff with it. Like we built the first $1 million semi-private gym in Australia, which is really, really different. We built the only semi-private gym in Australia that simultaneously could run 4 programs at once, because we sectioned off the gym. Like literally sectioned
Let's
off.
just section it off.
I literally put red and black police tape across the gym on the floor, so people will know this is where the powerlifters are training, this is where the bodybuilders, this is where the jump up train. And people were like, they kind of all in their little groups and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They hated each other, but we ended up doing some really cool stuff at that time. Like I built a supplement line, which is cool. I built a meal prep company, so very similar to like my muscle chef, but all done via sous vide. All of us, so you just put hot water in the bag and it's like a fresh cooked meal. We did all that, supplement line, clothing line, merchandise line. We had all those things happening, and we worked all out. And we also I would argue that we were the first semi-private gym, because a lot of semi-private gyms still don't have it, where every single client had their own individualized app on their phone. This is like 2011, and we were doing online training at that point too. Because the area we're in, Crow's Nest, is quite in and out. Like people have lived there to go work in North Sydney, and North Sydney is like, you don't work there for a long time.
That's right, yeah.
You go in for a project and you leave. So people were like, oh, I really love how you train. What do we do? I was like, alright, cool. How about you just use that app when you go? And they're like, okay, how's that work? I'm like, just pay us. And that's how I built online training. The first online training, we were a gym that had multiple tiers of profit. All the stuff I talk about now, like having multiple levels of profit, having back end stuff. I just basically worked it out via necessity rather than thinking about it, actually prediction.
Yeah.
So it was very, very I made a shit ton of mistakes, but very, very fortunate about a lot of the things have been able to stick and still stick today in 2024.
Yeah, with all of that, so how did that then lead into what you currently do with MPC?
Cool. So the gym actually shut down due to a real estate issue. So after a period of time, my business partner and I, we started to see that we saw the world in 2 very different ways. Where he was...
Sounds like your life story, you said.
Never. Lessons don't keep on getting replayed in your life until you learn how to get past them, right?
That's right, yeah.
I might be there now at age 40, so you can call me a slow learner, but that's okay. I was kind of like, no, we need to deliver a really high quality service and try and optimize everything we can to get results. Because in the long term, if your gym gets results and your business gets results, you will get customers.
Yeah.
Like surgeons don't advertise, but they get customers because they get results. So someone's like, oh my god, did my knee and I can run again. Physios, chiros, all the same stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, well, let's just get anyone we can with a credit card. And he would, I wouldn't say outright lie, but he would stretch the truth on sales calls.
Yeah, okay.
And people would be coming in there like, oh, I've been told I can get this, this, and this. And I would do their consult and I'd be like, I don't think I can deliver that. Realistically, I don't think I'm going to be able to give you one-on-one training 5 days a week with me personally at 6 a.m. For $100 a week. Just don't think that's going to happen. So we it happened one day. I was on a holiday with she wasn't my wife then. We were in South America. I was in the Atacama Desert, like the driest desert in the world. And I was on the phone at 3 a.m. in the morning to him outside my little yurt hut thing in minus 10 degrees, having a fight over some stupid shit to do with the business. And I just said, fuck off, I quit. I'm out. And I don't want to own it anymore. And then I had a good week of a holiday after that because I didn't have the stress.
Yeah.
And I got back and basically we had a discussion. So I don't want to own it, Jules. It's fine, take it. And he's like, all right, cool. What do I do? I'm like, well, you hire me first as an employee and I'll coach. But at this point, he was scared shitless of me. So I was just going to work from like 10 till 3 each day and just like, cool, go get coffee with someone, do a workout, go home. That was basically my day. And so he was running the gym, and then 3 months later he came to me and he's like, I don't want this, I hate this. And he said he's going to do a whole bunch of stuff and he's going to basically give the gym to me. What I'd learned that time though, about 6 months later, was that he didn't pay his rent for those 3 months. Because he wasn't managing the finance. He wasn't taking money, he just couldn't manage the people were leaving because I wasn't involved, basically. That was the summary. So I negotiated with the real estate, the landlords that, cool, I'll sign another 5-year lease, but they'll wipe that debt. Because I couldn't pay my rent was like 12 grand a month. So I couldn't pay 36 grand, just cash it, just didn't have it floating around. I didn't think it was fair, but I should. So they basically Said, yep, that's fine. And then they reneged on the deal and they put it in the new contract. They just added like $36,000 into it. And I was like, I'm not doing that. But I kept paying the rent.
Yeah.
And it was arguments. I was like, I would just say, yeah. So I was kicked out. That would have been done earlier, but some pesky little flu came around for a couple of years that halted all production, which is why it's only getting finished now. So they kicked us out for that. So I went around the front to the clients and lied to them and said that was a water leak, because I didn't want to say that we kicked out that first day, because it's easier to deal with that issue over time than say, hey, this is what actually happened. So I remember getting coffee with my head coach after that and going, man, this actually feels alright. And he's like, what do you mean? It's like, I'm not worried about it. Wasn't stressed. He's like, but the gym's been shut down, like, you're going to have to go for help. I'm like, I've been there. It won't be that bad. It really won't be that bad. So I called my friend I mentioned earlier, my first apprentice, and he basically said, yeah, I can train people in his gym. We can just move the clients there and train them. And I was like, cool, that's what we'll do. And I did that for about 3 months, and then I ended up realizing I hated every part of my soul in that place. It was just, the environment wasn't great. It was just not fun. I was like, no, I'm done. I said, I'm done, fuck it. And the whole time I was mentoring trainers in between, like from 2003 onwards, I've always been mentoring, but always in the skill development thing. So it would have been 2019 by that point, I think, and 2019, 2020 maybe, and then I basically said, I'll just go buy a subcontractor by myself. And I will coach trainers, and I will semi-private coach clients in commercial gyms or whatever gym it is, and just I'll make all the money. That was basically my idea, I'll make all the money. So I ended up training, I was training semi-private training 16 people an hour in Gold's Gym at North Sydney. So it was great, because my job was literally walk around and talk shit to people. And they were all on subscription, so all the business lessons I'd learned from DC, my gym, were locked into place. I had all the structures, and at that point I started probably September, October 2020. I started moving everything into online. I was like, cool, I'm going to make an online business, because the gym owner was a piece of shit. It was basically my summary. And I only had to see him 1 hour, 2 hours a week in the gym, and I was just like, I really hate him. And
it was enough.
This guy, he's if you're listening to this and you Google the gym that I was at, you'll know who it is, but he's got a horrible reputation. He's foul. And anyway, COVID happened, and because I'd already been building up the online, I just went, hey guys, everything shut down, join my online program. And everyone went, okay. So I was online by Tuesday. So everything was shut down midday Monday. I remember everyone freaking out, and I was just going, this is great. I was actually excited for lockdown. I was like, great, I get to not talk to people at 6 a.m. every day. I get to just basically be myself all the time, and sit and just build the online business that I want. So for me, in terms of the actual business opportunity, COVID provided me a business opportunity. I was like, straight to online, and it was a 1-day transition. It was so smooth, and I remember all the other trainers at the gym were calling me, messaging me. It's like, what the fuck do I do? I'm like, well, you can buy my program. I did it for free. I just kind of lied saying you can buy my program. I was just trying to scare them a bit more. So I helped them all get their $750 a week from the government and all that kind of stuff. And because very few trainers have business sense. And that time I had learned business sense and how to fill in the forms and all that stuff, because I had to do it so much. Helped that, and then basically I just moved entirely to online from whenever COVID happened onwards. I was still mentoring coaches, and then I started mentoring for teaching in other fitness business education companies, but always companies that mainly taught business, and I taught technical stuff. After a time, because trainers at the end of the day, they go to business education companies because they want to earn more money. That's it. They want to have a sustainable career that works. What every fitness business education owner forgets is that trainers have gotten into it because they like training. They do. They like lifting weights. They like knowing about calories, macros. They want to know about supplements. They want to know how to get their clients results. So the vast majority of the students from each of the companies I spoke to would message me privately and ask for coaching for that. So I just did the thing. And then after a while, they asked me, hey, could you have a look at my business? And I would be like, okay. And I'm like, but you're working with X, you're working with Y. And it's like, yeah, I know, but I'm not really getting what I want out of it. I thought I'd really love your opinion. and I would tell them stuff, and sure, every single time they made more money. They got clients, they made more money, they were happier, their business became easier. So then everyone's like, can you teach business? I'm like, I guess. Like, again, why not? Like people asking me for it, and everyone's saying,
I have some semblance of an idea of what it is now, so sure, let's
and a lot of the other mentors, the coaches that own the fitness business companies I was teaching in, they're like, you can't teach business. Like one of them actually stipulated in the contract he tried to give me, you can't teach business, and as soon as you tell me you can't do something,
oh man, I was about to say, as soon as someone says that, then that's it, you're done. See you later.
Is that so? I can't teach. Okay, cool. Well, how many staff did you fire last week? Very recently. But that's basically how it all came. And then from now working with everyone's business, because now I'm a lot older and a lot more reflective, I would look at people's businesses and look at what everyone was teaching, because I got access to watch it all. And the vast majority of it all was shit that was not taught on actual principles of running business. So I started reading a ton about business as well, like learning how real companies work.
Yeah,
and
if it's the program you're talking about, I know exactly.
Well, there's multiple programs.
But the one I'm thinking of, I think the one you're thinking of too. Like I was in it.
Is there a circle involved?
Yeah, there is. And I was in it, and I thought exactly the same thing. Like there wasn't really any sort of principled.
There's
hierarchy. It was just everything was everywhere.
Yeah.
And so that's why I felt like I struggled in that. And I was just like, what the shit is this?
And it's the exact same as training. So like the reason I became popular throughout these groups is I developed a client hierarchy.
Yeah.
And the client hierarchy was literally how do you classify clients. And I always knew it internally. I just put pen to paper and just kind of like made it into a commodity that someone could look at and learn from.
Yeah.
And every single person who has been working in online training or the fitness business with clients, as soon as they understand the client hierarchy, they get better results. Because a beginner client does not need macros. That's a stupid idea.
No.
A beginner client does not need to worry about their creatine or hydrate timing or worrying about they're doing linear versus undulating periodization.
Yeah.
They need to get to the damn gym with weights.
Yeah, and eat food, and that's it.
Eat food. If it's a level 3 client, if they need to worry about, stuff like that, cool. We can talk about how taking carnitine has a difference if you take it sublingually, orally, or intramuscularly. They're all different.
Yeah.
But it's only relative for like that 0.02% of people that you actually work with. So when everyone started getting like awesome results, like one trainer increased his yearly recurring revenue by between $100,000 and $200,000 in a year just by learning that structure and actually applying it to his online clients. I said, this business has the same structure. There's the exact same structure to every single business. Like day one is get your damn ABN and get a name. That's it. Get some free clients, train some clients for free, move them to paid. Then pay a lot more. So everything that we teach it's actually rebranding to Ascend. Everything I teach in business is always based on a series of hierarchies, a series of principles, and it needs to be, again, similar to what I talked about with conflict management and saying no, it needs to be based on circumstances. And this is where a lot of the other coaches, no one say, get it wrong. If you have someone come to you and has 0 followers and no one build an online business, you're not going to sell low ticket coaching. Like it's stupid because they don't have an audience. Yeah. Why would people pay? You have no social proof, you have no reputation, I have no idea who you are. Why am I going to pay you $7 a month to get a program where you're not going to be there?
Yeah.
If someone comes to you and has one coach I'm working with, a couple of coaches have like 100 to 200,000 followers on social media. I'm like, why are you trying to do coaching where you get in the DMs and try and sell people for $60 a week? Like, if you are successful at that strategy, I guarantee you, within a couple of weeks, you're going to want to just quit doing everything because you're going to be so under the pump. So you need to move into advertising online and doing low ticket community-based programs because it's going to be less involvement. If you're running a gym, there's other strategies that you need to use. So it's kind of like a lot of these other programs just go, oh cool, this is great, I've learned something new, I've seen a new Hormozy video, or I've seen a new Gary Vee or some kind of influencer. It's like, we'll apply it to a gym. And all these programs have this thing where it kind of, that is for everything in the wall and it sticks for a few.
Yeah. It
sticks for a few because some people will succeed no matter what due to whatever circumstances, luck, divine intervention, I can't describe. They'll succeed, and then you have all these other people who aren't working.
Yeah.
I've seen some of these programs recommend from someone who had a thriving in-person business to fire all their clients and transition them all to online within one day. And
what for?
so they can move online.
Okay.
This person's income went from $250 to $300 overnight because all their clients were like, no, why would I do that? What's the benefit? Oh, because I want to go online. Who gives a fuck what you want? Right? The client wants what they want, right? It's like the client wants help. Client's like, no, I'm paying you because I want to see you in person. I want to train with you. I like you. I don't want to have less interaction and pay $30 less to have an app. I don't give a fuck about
Yeah, I've made that mistake. Yeah.
And so this person came to me and I was like, he's like, I'm drowning. Like I got a little kid and I think he had another one on the way. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna help you. Like, cause I feel bad. Like I feel so bad that you got this advice. I'm gonna help you. And now he's at like, you know, $150,000 to $200,000 a year. He's got trainers underneath him because the strategies I use were relevant for his business. So a lot of the stuff I coach now, it's the same as clients. If it's relevant to you, it's going to work. It will. If it's relevant to you, you're going to get faster results. Yes, it may need to be refined. Yes, there will be things that we need to do that are individual to you for your niche. There's no one strategy. That's the thing that we really pride ourselves on. Like there's a few key elements that are always going to be universal, yeah. Like direct debit's always going to be better than paid in full packages. Always going to be better than paid in full packages for a personal trainer, a business owner, because recurring revenue is king. If monthly, you get paid like, you know, paid in fulls every 12 weeks. I guarantee by week 6 you're broke.
Yeah.
Because everyone gets like high when they have money.
Well, that's true.
And then they start spending it all, and they're like, shit, I got no money, got no more money coming in. Oh, can you pay me in advance? Like, it's a lot of bad advice and a lot of bad systems out there. And what I do is, cool, what's going to work for you in your context? So I'd rather understand you and where you're from, what your problems are, who your audience is, who you want to work with, what your unique skill sets are, what your deficits are. Very important to understand the deficits, and then we can work with you. Because if you got like one guy I work with, he's a great bodybuilding coach, really great bodybuilding coach. He communicates like a potato. So when he's trying to sell people online, he's like, "This is the price," and I'm like, "What do I get? Train with me." And I'm like, "You need to be nice. Pretend you're asking a girl out, and you're trying to impress your best self on them, because your clients, like, even though you're an awesome coach and you know your shit inside out, back to front, they don't know that. They just know that you don't care because you're writing to them like an asshole. So yeah, it's a very, very how I got into business coaching was basically understanding a few key principles, which is training, physiology, nutrition, that's fine, but then understanding the interplay between psychological principles and then basic business principles. It makes a much better structure rather than just going, I'm looking for 5 people at that.
Yeah, that's what I'm transitioning to right now. Like I feel like that at the beginning, that's where I was at, where I was just like, oh, I'm at the gym coaching people, I'm doing 100 hours a week. It's great, but I also fucking hate my life. So I want to go online, and then we had a 2-year interruption where I just decided that I wasn't going to partake in the interruption. And so I just said, here you go, all the best, see you later. So I jumped in, and then I was just like, I'm just trying to throw anything. Wasn't working. So now working with you, I'm going, oh, this makes so much more sense. Like, where were you 5 years earlier?
So on my computer.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So now with like what you just said, like with philosophies, like personal philosophy, training philosophy, business philosophy, if you're able to condense everything that you've learned and just articulate like a few key principles in regards to those 3 types of philosophies, how would you articulate them?
Do you want me to embody that into embodying excellence?
We'll transition into that.
Okay, cool. So I'll do the philosophies. So training wise and nutrition, for work, like the actual work with people, I go, you need to have a basic understanding of training, nutrition, psychology. Neither of them are more important than the other. It needs to be an integrated approach. So, for example, one of them is my key. Is number one? Yeah, my number one psychological principle that fits into nutrition coaching is relationship with food. If your relationship with food sucks, you're never going to be in shape. It's really simple. Psychological principle, self-compassion. If you can't forgive yourself and move on from setbacks and they turn into absolute disasters, you're never going to have a good relationship with food, which is going to stop any strategy working. If it's training, it's like, the right tool for the job. So if you don't use the right tool for the job, you're never going to get the exact outcome that you want. But the same thing for nutrition applies, and the same thing for psychology. Psychology applies if you don't have the right tool for the job. So for that stuff, for the training and the actual work and working with clients, the principles of it, actually wrote a whole book about it, but it all fits into, it just needs to really work for the person and be centered, person centered, and the level of strategy is dictated by the goal. Okay, so if you come to me and you want to lose 5 kilos, I was like, cool, what do you eat? Send me a food journal. That'll be it. You need to walk a little bit more, send me a food journal. If you say to me, I want to become a world-class powerlifter, I'd be like, all right, cool, go get your blood work. What division are you going to compete in? I'm going to find out every single little thing about you and every single metric that we need to do to achieve said goal. So the goal always dictates the strategy. And if we use that goal dictates the strategy, when as soon as I go to business, it's the exact same thing. The goal dictates the strategy. So if your goal is to become, I'm moving to Hong Kong in 12 weeks or so to be set up a multinational gym franchise. Multinational high ticket gym franchise. Yeah. And so it's not like a Fitness First or any time, it's like, I'm talking $2,000 a month membership, like it's expensive. Our strategies need to be very different because our goals are very different. Yeah. Like if we're going to move into Dubai, we need to have very different strategies. If you're an online coach, you need different strategies. If you're an in-person running your own gym, you need different strategies. So my coaching company is actually building into a system where it's tiered, where if you're a beginner coach, so say where you were when you came to me, I would just go, cool, you're buying a 0 to 10K program, that's it. And it's all going to be mapped out for you, what you need to do, all the strategies that work, and we'll tell you which one's going to be ideal. If you're a gym owner, say you're a gym owner and you're running $20,000 a month gym, I was like, cool, you're buying a 10 to 25K program, we're going to take you to 50K by doing the strategies that are relevant there. So it's always the goal dictates the strategy. With psychology, my kind of integrated approach towards that is, again, what's the goal dictates the strategy. Because every psychological tool has some degree of merit, in my opinion. Some are more than others, obviously, but every single tool has some degree of merit. And what's the goal for you? Like where do you want to go? Because where do you want to go and what you want to achieve and how you want to live is going to determine what's tools and frameworks that you need to look at the world through and understand things. So if you want to have a really high performing, very valuable business, your tools are going to be very, very different for someone who wants to be very mindful and wants to live a very chilled out life. And one of the things that it took me a long time to learn was no goal is inherently more special or valuable or unique or worthwhile than others. I used to be very much in the functional training world, right? Like, if you can't do a handstand push-up, you're a loser, you're focusing on your six-pack, like that kind of bullshit that they go on about. Yeah. There is nothing less showing, like, who shows off more, the person with the abs or the person doing a handstand push-up in the middle of a crowded gym?
Oh, 100% the handstand.
Yeah, the person goes up and checks their abs out, oh, cool. And then there's a person doing a handstand. They both want attention. Like, it's basically both is a fight for attention. One just looks like, oh, I've got control of my body. No, this person has control of their diet, like, and their ability to resist temptation. They're both equally valid. So when I look at stuff, and anyone like psychologically, it's like where they want to go, where they want to do, or whatever it is, it's not looking down on anything as being more moral or more inherently more valuable or better. It's like, cool, this is where you are. These are the tools or the ways that I can best help you achieve said thing. So like my wife with her coaching, she does the exact same thing. It's always like, what do you want to do? These are the ways that you can move forward to it. And then with psychology principles, like, how do you get the person to want to do it? It's not about just the strategies. It's like, how can you change someone's mind or influence their mind? That's a better word than change, to get them to do the things that they want to do, to step to do it, and make them come up with their own strategies that fit into, and of course guide and mold and shape a little bit, but get them to the point where they can go, cool, I want to do this thing because A or X, Y, Z, these are the things I'm going to do, what do you think? And then that way that makes everything, I wouldn't say easy because obviously things are hard, but it makes it very congruent for everyone. Everyone's able to connect to one thing and work together, understand where people are coming from, and everyone's happier at the end of it.
That's solid. And having all three of those integrated like into one, because it all does come together. Like I feel that, absolutely. And especially since I've been coaching with you and with Kristen, your wife, I've decided that being able to actually integrate the things are way more important than just knowing them. Because you can know them, and I know I spent years intellectualizing stuff that I should have felt, but at the same time, just having having that marker for yourself and going, all right, what's the goal and the context in the goal, and then being able to build with the things that you learn and that you feel, so that then the things that do come together, that do gel, then your goals are just a consequence of understanding yourself.
Understanding yourself and behaviours that you take from understanding yourself. And if you do the thing, if you do the behaviours, you will get to the goal. Or you'll get as close to the goal as you're genetically or circumstantially able to do, or you'll surpass that. I always use the example of every fucking Olympic athlete has a goal of winning gold, but they don't get there. But you can damn be sure that every single athlete at the Olympics is that much further ahead than every other human being on earth in that particular discipline because they implement the behaviours. Cool. So who knows how high you go when you get them? Will you hit your goal? Maybe, maybe not. But you know what? You'll be in the best chance possible if you implement behaviours that are the things that you need to do to get to said goal.
What does the future look like for Ascend now that you're rebranding and traveling to Hong Kong? You mentioned
Busy. Busy.
Sounds like it.
I mean, yeah, that's one word to describe it.
Hectic.
But is it anything you can disclose or?
Oh, yeah, I'm very transparent, as you know. So Ascend, yeah, we basically, MPC, Meldrum Performance Coaching, has been the ball show. And like, it doesn't gratify my ego to be the ball show. I don't particularly care. So even when I moved to these gyms in Hong Kong, my name's not going on the door. And the guy asked me, "Are you okay with that?" I'm like, "You shit. Like, I don't care." I know I can be part of something bigger than myself that can contribute more and earn more, like for my family and stuff like that, and create a better degree of security. How would it sound if I wouldn't do that because I didn't have my name on the door? I have an opportunity to change thousands of lives, to make a ton of money, and to provide security for my family for the long term and see the world. No, you're not saying my name. That's only part of it. So with Ascend, part of that is to get my name out of it in terms of the actual service itself. Because the things I teach, once they're documented and written down and repeatable, other people can teach them. Like, some of the stuff isn't that complex. So basically the goal at the moment is to brand Ascend into the personal training education here, business building, which is going to go through 3 tiers, 0 to 10, 10 to 25, and then 50 and beyond, okay, per month. Which, one of the things that I do want to say is that I'm the only fitness professional that I know that's done all in terms of online, in person, and only gyms. So I still own a gym. I'm about to own gyms in Hong Kong. I run an online training business that has currently over 50 clients. I run a PT education company. I do all the things. So that's one of the things that Ascend's always going to be about. So the other side is to actually build that. So to have a roster of coaches underneath us, under the Ascend framework, who work with PCOS, who work with men's mental health, who work with physique athletes. So they'll all have their own personal brands around that. And then here, I'll be developing like my own personal brand, and this kind of comes into the embodying excellence stuff anyway. Your personal, you know how everyone has their own brand of humour? It's the same thing. Your personal brand is literally just the outward personification of you that drives people towards, it's going to be used towards drive people to what their services is. Like, the end goal is 98% of people who follow, like what I do on social and the actual personal branding stuff, won't buy from me. They'll still get value from it, but then they'll be then driven towards the companies to do that. But then everyone who coaches at Ascend, so say we got Trent, like, and you know Trent, Sell by Chat, like he's probably one of the top 10 in the world at Sell by Chat. He's phenomenal at it. His personal brand will drive people to the business, and they'll be like, "Hey, I'm going to join Ascend so I can work with Trent." In the Ascend online coaching company, like every single one of the coaches will have a personal brand as well, assigned with Ascend. So the goal is with the companies is to basically more people win if more people contribute, and it doesn't become one asshole at the top who's controlling everything, who looks down. I want people to be able to bring their own unique skill sets, brands, stories, experiences to the companies, contribute value to it, but then equally win from it. Maybe equally, might get a bit more, but like that is actually the goal. So like we've got a videographer who's part of Ascend, and like he's not going to contribute any IP. He's just going to film it, but he's also going to build it into a website that has an AI built into it that tells you what you need to do next, based on a whole bunch of shit that I haven't put in it and where you are. So basically, it's building individualized learning experiences, individualized training experiences, and health, nutrition, wellness, whatever, where people walks of life, different viewpoints, different niches, etc., all fall under the Ascend bracket.
Beautiful. And to finally tie this up, what is your definition of embodying excellence?
I had 2 definitions for you.
Alright.
Alright, cool. The first one, if I was going to put it in a soundbite, is to do the things you'll say you do. That's it.
Integrity,
Yeah. Do the things you'll say you do. It's really simple. So if I'm going to get lean. I'm going to do 10,000 steps a day. Let's say that's the goal. By the end of the day, you do 10,000 steps. And if the worst case scenario, the world goes to shit, say you get 7,000, the next day you do 13,000. Because you do the thing you say you do. If you do the thing if everyone did what they said they would do, everyone would have great results.
Yeah.
It's very simple. If I was going to come up with an embodying excellence philosophy, it would be this: identify your values and your priorities, live as such. So, what are your values? What are your priorities? Apply your values to your priorities, live as that. So, for example, one of my values is technical excellence. I know you probably could tell, I'm a nerd. I love technical excellence. I love knowing why the things work, how they work, when they work, etc. And I think to be a professional at your job, you do. You don't want a knee surgeon who's like, where's that meniscus again? Like, little pesky thing, isn't it? So say technical excellence is a priority of mine, and is a value. My biggest priorities are family, business, training. Okay, they're the 3 biggest priorities in my life. Can I apply technical excellence to the family? Well, it's not a value that necessarily goes over there, but I'll do the best I can when I'm doing stuff with my daughter. Business, it's like, cool. I look at everything, am I applying technical excellence in this? With Ascend rebrand, everything's been filmed by a professional videographer, no more Zoom videos, no more looms. I apply that. If I look at the world and training, technical excellence, good form. There you go. If I apply these value sets to each of the priorities, I'm assured of a life well and body excellence.
Beautiful. Thank you for your time, Paul. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for joining us, and subscribe to the Embodying Excellence channel.
Check it out.